As gardeners, we often talk about the life cycles of our vegetables, the amazing transformations of their tiny seeds to a bountiful harvest. One equally as amazing transformation is that of our compost. All season long, our pile has been working hard at breaking down the yard and kitchen waste, the spent foliage from our favorite crops, and the old potted plants as they reach their expiration dates. Without this well-oiled machine to break down that bulky garden waste, our piles would quickly begin to overflow. In fact, judging by some of the emails that I've gotten lately, as well as the comments I'm seeing online, you might be seeing this already in your compost pile. I know for sure I am with mine. And the kicker is, winter is coming. So the speed of our compost pile is about to come to a grinding halt. You see, the thing is, our compost piles may be slowing down because of the cold, yes, but the steady stream of inputs does not. It's not like we're about to stop eating and go into hibernation. The amount of waste that we need to be breaking down rarely decreases. Today, let's alleviate some of that pressure, some of that buildup, and dive into the world of winter composting. I've got 6 things to help you get the most out of your piles as the temperatures drop, so that even if the rest of your garden is completely frozen, your compost pile can keep humming along. A healthy compost is the correct ratio of browns to greens and air to water. These 4 things in perfect harmony is what allows a compost to do its thing at maximum efficiency. And the speed at which all of this happens is dictated by the temperature of the pile. The microorganisms and bacteria that do all the heavy lifting in your compost to break down those raw materials are dependent on the temperature. Amazingly, these metabolic processes within your compost pile are able to generate their own heat. But for the most part, your compost pile is at the mercy of the weather outside. Which brings us to where we are today. I'm about a month away from true winter, and I need to get my compost pile set up in time. I need to get it ready for the coming cold so that it can stay working for me, even if the rest of the garden has gone dormant. And the first way we can do that is by making sure our piles are the right size. The larger your pile is, the more thermal mass it's going to have, ensuring a steadier state of both moisture and those temperatures. Compost piles that are too small can easily run the risk of freezing solid all the way through. Which, don't get me wrong, is perfectly fine. The compost is going to thaw out and resume its regular processing in the spring. But today, we're talking about keeping our compost going all winter long. And to do that, we got to make sure that the pile is of adequate size. It's got to be big enough to fend off old man winter. The second factor that's going to help keep our compost going is the particle size of the raw materials itself. Nearly all of the activity to break down the individual bits and pieces of our raw compost happens on the surface. Smaller size inputs allow the pile to operate at a greater efficiency, keeping it going at a faster rate even as the temperatures drop. In the glory days of summer, large pieces are fine because the breakdown happens so fast anyways. In the winter though, it could be the difference between the pile stopping or continuing on. Another way to keep a compost humming along is bulk. And this will do 2 things. Just like the fluffy insides of a winter jacket, bulk in a compost provides insulation. It's the same concept as the insulation in your ceiling or the walls of your house. The extra bulk provides air gaps, and those air gaps provide insulation. But those air gaps also provide a second thing: oxygen. Oxygen is very essential for the microbes in your compost to do their thing effectively. Maintaining these aerobic conditions is vital to the whole process, and bulking up the pile is one of the best ways to do it. Fortunately, the annual leaf drop happens at precisely the same time that we need to be doing this. It's uncanny how Mother Nature always seems to get it right. This fall leaf drop is going to provide us with all the materials that we need to accomplish this. And it's pretty simple. Just begin layering in those brown leaves as soon as they fall off the tree for the greatest effect. Moving on at number 4, and we have one that feels a little bit backwards for you composting veterans, and that's not to turn your pile. I know it seems counterintuitive and all, considering that aeration is so huge in composting, but turning your pile in the winter, well, that exposes that warm inner core to the cold air surrounding it. So, if you want to grind all the microbial activity in your compost to a halt this winter, well then by all means, turn the pile. At number 5, we have moisture. Having enough water in the system is vital to the whole process. Too little, and the microbial activity really slows. A dry compost takes forever and a day to break itself down. However, too wet, and the compost is going to turn anaerobic in nature, slowing down as well, but also becoming a stinky, soggy mess. No question, winter is a tricky time for moisture control for our composts, especially in areas like mine where too much moisture is added daily. So, I'll be battling too much moisture by adding more browns and structured materials, while others may be battling the bone-chilling cold and not enough moisture. Finding that balance is so important to maintaining a well-oiled machine, but it's especially important in the winter. And lastly, on that same thought as moisture, is bringing it all together and making sure that all your parameters are in check. To keep your compost pile productive and active over winter, it must be productive and active to begin with. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term, the CN, or carbon to nitrogen ratio, refers to the relative ratio of brown carbon sources, things such as wood, cardboard, straw, dry leaves, to your green nitrogen sources. And those would be things like green grass, active kitchen waste, and fresh pulled weeds. Similarly, the right balance of moisture and air is also vital. Too much water is going to replace and fill in those air gaps in your soil profile, and too little moisture is going to decrease that metabolic activity, like we mentioned before. If the compost is having trouble performing in the ideal conditions of spring and summer, then the onslaught of winter is only going to exacerbate that and make it much worse. So, get the compost into a good spot before your winter hits, and it'll be able to power through those temperature drops much more successfully. And hopefully doing that, as well as the 5 other tips that we talked about today, helps you keep your compost healthy and active this winter. Hey, best of luck guys, and I'll see you soon. Hey, thanks so much for watching guys. I appreciate the support more than you know. And if you're getting value from these videos, please like and share them to spread the word and help your fellow gardener to grow better.